If you don't like boring news but still crave the truth, then dive into The Robert and Crew Show. From mind-bending conspiracy theories to wild weather phenomena, we've got it all. Ever wondered what's really happening in your hometown, or what secrets the global news isn't telling you? We dig deep into the core of every story, unraveling the mysteries one podcast at a time. Join Robert and the crew as we navigate this vibrant, ever-changing cyberpunk landscape, bringing you interviews with the most intriguing minds out there. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, a news junkie or a weather enthusiast, there's something here for you. So strap in, listeners, because we're about to take you on a ride through the neon-lit alleys of truth and intrigue. This is the Robert and Crew Show, where the future meets the fantastic.
Welcome back to the Robert and Crew Show. As always, I'm Robert.
And I'm Crew.
How you doing there, Crew?
Pretty good. How are you, Robert?
Doing a lot better since last night, since I fell
Good.
asleep at the computer screen.
Well, so yeah, we were supposed to go live last night, everybody. Hello, Julie.
Hey, Julie.
And Robert here. I sent him a picture if he wants to show everybody. Just so, if he wants, he can. But it was funnier than shit. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, apparently Crew is taking too long, right? And I already had the podcast set up, and I was kind of tired, I guess, already. And yeah, I done passed out on stream, or not on stream. Thankfully, I just passed out in the lobby of the stream.
Yeah,
Didn't even make it.
You got lucky. If you passed out during the stream, I would have really gave you even more shit than last time, because it was funny, dude. That stream lasted for hours.
Yeah. Just a second, guys.
And it was the Bigfoot episode.
I'm gonna show you each and every one of you this comedy gold right here. If I can get my phone to load. Okay, and we'll do. All right, guys. Somebody's gonna pop into the StreamYard thing real quick, but it's just me on a different setup to load this picture in here. Okay, guys. So last night, as Crew was saying, I fell asleep before we started the podcast. I fell asleep in the podcast lobby. I was just chilling there waiting for him. I guess he took too long, and he said that he came right in. I'm still barely awake. I guess I saw him on the screen, and I tried to get up, and I just collapsed into sleep. And picture of me, and this is Shame Rob Day. So here you go. Boom, Robin on the stream, not on stream in the lobby. So last night we did not cast because I was asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was kind of funny. Crew thought it was kind of funny too.
I was laughing so hard.
Why were you taking so long last night?
Oh, I went to the gas station first, right, to get me my soda, and to get me some cigarettes, as usual. And then when I came back home, I put my phone on the charger, and I was letting my phone charge before I was going to join the stream. And then right when I was joining the stream, you were passing out right then and there. I was like, "Oh, this is comedy gold. I gotta take a screenshot of this."
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
guys. So last night we were going to do an episode that was supposed to just be a chill Robin Crusoe. We're doing tonight. We're going to do a chill, to chill and vibe with the Robert tonight. So I hope everybody enjoys this. I got some videos for us to look at. We got quite a few of them, so we're gonna watch them, and after each one, Crew and I are gonna talk about what we witnessed. All right,
Yeah.
so let's start up the first one, Crew.
Oh, you son of a bitch. What have you done? Oh, we've got your ass. We've got your ass now. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind. And for some people, seeing is the only way they will believe.
It looked like kind of
So
like
did
a
you know-
cloud falling.
Yes, that's because it's a chemtrail. So basically, when a plane flies over, there's two things it can do. It can leave a contrail. A contrail is water particles that air dissipate after a plane passes by. That's a normal thing that happens. But some of these planes have equipment on them that's aluminum, barium, and some other heavy metals into the sky to try to deter the sun. But it turns out that because of that, we're breathing those chemicals in and they could hurt us.
Okay.
So chemtrails are a big, yeah. So do you really not know anything about chemtrails?
Yeah. I mean, if you remember correctly, this was when you were with your first wife. That's all you would talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, chemtrails.
Like you were obsessed with chemtrails. That's like, and it was Jesse Ventura that would talk about them. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here's another today news about chemtrails with Robert Cover.
Chemtrails before.
Okay, I think we're gonna go on YouTube and talk about chemtrails and this and that. All right, we'll go on YouTube and talk about this and that. Next thing we know, we get the video taken down.
Yeah,
all
that was
because
back in
all
the
because
day, and then
all
we
because
talk
the
about
government
chemtrails.
didn't like us talking about chemtrails apparently, and YouTube didn't like it either because they were butthurt.
Because it's a harmful conspiracy theory that hurts people.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yo, you good?
What the heck happened to that cat? It was frozen in time.
Okay, so I've seen this before, right? When a cat, we all know cats don't like water, right? But
Yeah.
there's certain cats, if they get so relaxed and so like dirty, and they want to get clean, and they can't reach certain spots, they'll literally just let the water flow, and they'll stiffen up, like they look like they're like a statue.
Like a board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so funny to watch because they don't move. They just get stuck like that.
It looks like a glitch.
Right.
It looks like they glitch out, man. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
How can you say I'm getting fucking zapped without saying I'm getting fucking zapped? Gee, I don't know. Maybe because the clouds look like fucking sand. Looks like water in the ocean.
So those clouds. So I think he's more along the lines of talking about how the cloud formation is extremely weird, and you don't normally see clouds like that every day. And he's trying to say that those are possibly chemtrails that have spread out over the entirety of the day, and that they were sprayed out by planes.
Right.
You think that was do you think that's possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
This is still one of the craziest true crime stories I have ever heard of. Greg Flanagan was described as a kind and compassionate man. His friends said that he would not only give the shirt off his back, he would also give the shoes off his feet. Greg lived in Lafayette, Louisiana, but he would often travel to Beaumont, Texas. I know I said it wrong, go ahead and correct me in the comments, for work. He and his brother had started an oil company that was massively successful. So during the weekends, he would travel home to be with his wife in Lafayette, and then he would go back to Beaumont during the week and stay at the Elegante Hotel. Greg was very much a creature of habit. Anytime he got to his hotel room, he would crank up the AC, get a couple candy bars because he had a sweet tooth, lay on the bed and watch TV and smoke a lot of cigarettes. And every morning he would call his wife on his way to work. Any change in this schedule would be very unusual. On September 16th of 2010, Greg's wife did try calling him when he should have been on his way to work. When he didn't answer, she knew something was very wrong, so she tried calling his coworkers, hoping that maybe he had gone into work early that day, but when they hadn't seen him, she asked that they go to his hotel room and check on him. And when they got to the hotel room and knocked on the door and there was no answer, they knew something was very wrong. They had the hotel manager open up the door, and that's when they found Greg's body. Police started investigating immediately. This is where the case gets super weird. The hotel room didn't look like there had been a struggle inside. Greg still had his ring. He still had his wallet, which had $1,000 cash inside of it. So robbery was very quickly ruled out. The rest of the guests were interviewed and nothing seemed amiss. None of the other guests said that they saw or heard anything. So police started checking into Greg's past and seeing if there was someone that was out to get him, but there just wasn't anybody. Greg was someone that got along with everyone and he was just kind. As far as Greg's body, it seemed perfectly intact. Apart from an abrasion on his cheek, it looked like he got out of bed and fell down and he got rug burn on his cheek. So not long into this investigation, his body was released to the coroner, and this is where things get even weirder. Apart from the abrasion on his cheek, the coroner only noticed a small abrasion on his scrotum. But once he looked deeper into Greg's body, he saw severe trauma. The coroner said that he only saw trauma like this in victims of car accidents or if something very heavy had fallen on somebody. He had a laceration on his liver, he had several broken ribs, and he even had a hole in his heart. The coroner said this could only have happened from a severe beating. And yet the outside of Greg's body looked completely fine. I'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple of minutes to film it and get it up. It'll be down in the comments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. So Greg here at a normal schedule would go to Lafayette on the weekends and see his wife, and then he would go back to Beaumont, Texas for work and do all this, stay in a hotel room at the time. And he apparently didn't go out that night, or did go out that night, or something happened during that night. And then when he went to bed, he woke up. Apparently, he woke up at some point, tried to get out of bed, fell, collapsed, and just died right there. And nobody knew what had happened to him, so they took him to the coroner's office in the morgue to do a autopsy, and it looked like he had been beat from head to toe, but there's no outside trauma. All the trauma on the side. How does that even happen?
Right.
You don't show any signs of trauma on the outside of your body. That's almost like how
Right.
did he get hurt that way? Like that blows my mind, man.
Me too.
That's a crazy, crazy interesting one right there.
Mm-hmm.
We might have to do a full episode on like
Right.
Oh, I'm going to get my camera, but I'm closing the door.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah, that's like a bacon bit too.
Dude, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a walking dinosaur through a golf course. Could you imagine
Mhm.
being in Florida on a golf trip and that walks to the bushes and right in front of you on a golf green?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I'd shit my pants, man. To be around something that big. It's like Lake Placid in real life.
Mm-hmm.
How big do you think he is?
Probably about 20 feet.
Julie said she's watched the video before. That was weird. Whatever happened to him? Are you talking about Greg or are you talking about the alligator? I'm sure she's talking about Greg. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Greg. We're gonna figure that one out eventually. She also said she sure did miss us last night and couldn't last night. I'm sorry, Julie. It was my fault. I passed out.
Even though it was funny.
3 dead bodies were found stuffed into this hollowed out tree in the middle of the woods in 2010. And when it came to who the murderer was, truth is stranger than fiction. This is Matthew Hoffman, and in November of 2010, he murdered 3 people and kidnapped a 13-year-old girl who he held hostage for days. On November 9th, 2010, Matthew went into the woods and spent the night camping. Then the next morning, on November 10th, he decided to wake up and break into the home of Tina Herman. So unfortunately that day, when Tina Herman returned to her house, Matthew Hoffman had broken in. And as soon as he saw her, he freaked out, dragged her into a bedroom, and stabbed her multiple times with a hunting knife, killing her. But what Matthew didn't know was that Tina's friend Stephanie was coming over to meet her that morning. And while Matthew was dealing with Tina and her dead body, Stephanie entered the residence. Matthew freaked out, he stabbed Stephanie a number of times with the same hunting knife, even continuing to stab her after she was dead. And hearing all of this, the family's dog started to bark violently, and Matthew then stabbed and killed the family dog as well. After this, he dragged both of the women's bodies into the bathroom, dismembered them in the tub along with the body of the dog, and stuffed the body parts into trash bags. Shortly after finishing the dismemberment process, though, Tina's 2 children, Cody and Sarah, arrived home from school. Immediately after walking into their house, Matthew stabbed Cody in the back of the head, killing him instantly, then chased Sarah up into her room where he bound and gagged her with a cord from a fan in her room. So after dismembering Cody's body and stuffing him into a trash bag as well, Matthew brought out the 3 bodies that he had chopped up and placed into garbage bags, stored them in his car, and then brought out Sarah, who was still alive. After this, he brought Sarah and the bodies of Tina, Stephanie, and Cody back to his own house where he kept Tina locked in a crawl space. And this is where the story gets really weird. So Matthew Hoffman was a self-professed tree lover, and his entire home was covered in leaves. I'm talking about piles of leaves, bags of leaves nailed to the walls. And apparently, according to his neighbors at the time, Matthew had exhibited some really strange behavior prior to the murders. He had apparently been trapping squirrels in his backyard, killing them and grilling them. He allegedly spent hours sitting up in the trees in his backyard, just staring at the other trees and watching squirrels. And for a while, he had actually worked as a professional tree trimmer. But let's get back to the story. So after bringing Sarah back to his house along with the bodies of the other people he had killed, he locked her in a bathroom and even tied himself to her and took a nap. Afterwards, he headed back to the crime scene, did some cleanup, and then eventually brought Sarah into a crawl space, which was once again covered in leaves, dark and damp. And while she was chained up and held hostage inside of this crawl space, for days he visited her regularly and would SA her. Keep in mind, at the time, Sarah was only 13 years old, and her mom, her brother, and her family friend had been murdered right in front of her. Finally, though, a few days later, Matthew was arrested after police found him parked in his own car right next to the abandoned car of one of his victims. Tina, Coda, Sarah, and Stephanie had been missing for days now, so the police obviously went and searched Matthew's house, and that's when they made the gruesome discovery of Sarah chained up in the crawl space. This is an actual photo that the police released eventually of Sarah exactly as they found her. They actually had to take these photos for evidence before they released her, and they obviously immediately arrested Matthew. So for a while after his arrest, Matthew would not release the location of the bodies to the police. They were desperately trying to find the bodies of those people that he had killed, but he wouldn't tell them anything. That is, until they took the death penalty off the table, and that's when he revealed that he had stuffed the 3 corpses into a hollowed out tree in the middle of the woods. Police immediately then went and found the tree, and inside they found the bodies of Cody, Stephanie, and Tina in those trash bags, dismembered. Eventually, the tree was torn down, but I mean, how bizarre is this story? Eventually, Matthew Hoffman was sentenced to life in prison without parole, and this whole story is just kind of mind-blowing. He's been nicknamed the Leaf Killer for doing the things that he did, for his obsession with leaves, the way that he placed the bodies inside of a hollowed-out tree trunk. I've never really heard a story like this, and I hope to never hear one like this again.
Alrighty.
Julie said she was talking about Greg. I thought so. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what happened to Greg. Stuffing bodies into a tree, man. And he only killed the other people because they walked in at the wrong time. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. What kind of craziness is that?
Right.
Like, how do you feel about that story? That shit gave me chills.
That gave me chills too.
Oh. Some people are disgusting. So, a pod of dolphins that was bullying a shark.
Okay.
I have a couple videos here tonight about dolphin behavior, but this one right here, this one is extremely weird because it's a whole pod of dolphins chasing the shark away. You see in the very up top, that's the shark. Dolphins are all right here trying to make sure that the shark doesn't get any closer to them.
Right.
And they all stick together because they know that if they stick together that they can take care of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting.
Sophia's strike was so powerful, it shattered the shark's ribs. But the great white could still be dangerous. She circles, testing to see if the shark will bite back. But her aim was perfect. She takes the shark under and suffocates it.
Dude, orcas be freaking crazy, man. Orcas will
Mhm.
take out a shark with no problem. That was a great grandmother orca. Basically a stupid orca, and it still took out that shark with no problem.
Mhm.
Pinpointed where to hit it exactly to kill it.
And you know what I find
So
weird?
crazy. What?
Orcas are genuinely nice to humans,
Yes.
but not in captivity.
No, not in captivity because they're trapped and they don't like to be trapped. I can't blame them.
Right. But they're nice to humans, but they'll attack fish. Make that make sense.
Well, they got to eat.
Right.
Orcas eat fish. Yeah, and you know the sharks become a problem. 'Cause the sharks will kill the orcas if given a chance,
Right.
and the orcas know that. That's why the orcas take care of the shark before it ever has the chance of taking it out.
Mhm.
He might be going for this water up here.
Don't please get any
I'm not
closer.
getting any closer.
If he comes jerking over here, I'll myself.
He's too tired to run.
You're tilted that way. Don't tilt. That
Bro,
way.
these Florida people are built different. They have these things just walking around every freaking day. Nobody even bats an eye. These giant crocodilians come out of the water and just walk around freely.
Yeah. That's usually just
They
how it
know
is
that
in Florida.
dude, I know, and they know that they don't have any predators, so they're like, "We're good."
Right.
Crazy.
The family are unaware it's closing. Samu is in grave danger.
Oh, this shark looks like a tiger. It looks huge.
Yeah, it was big.
Oh, the shark, the shark.
One of Puck's daughters rushes in to help protect Samu. Without the family, Samu could easily be eaten. What happened next will never be known, but it's likely the rest of the beachies mobbed or even rammed the shark with their beaks, chasing it away.
See, Puck?
They're up in front. Take a waypoint.
Is that the shark? No, on your left, at 11. Coming up, it's coming up.
This is another one.
It's a hammerhead. With the family now on full alert, it's not getting anywhere near Samu. But seeing two sharks so soon after the birth doesn't bode well. Round here, only half of the calves survive beyond their 3rd year. Most are lost in the first few weeks of life.
So
Sounds
these
about right.
dolphins, man, they have to fight off the sharks, man.
Yeah. They are rivals in the ocean. Always have been, always will be.
Oh yeah. Dolphins are just kind of mean sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but so are sharks.
Mm-hmm.
That jaguar was tripping its nuts off.
Mm-hmm.
It ate ayahuasca.
Mm.
Julie says she doesn't think comfortable being that close to an alligator. Trust me, I know.
Their sleeve. The first one is agility. While sharks are big and powerful, their vertically oriented tail means that changing direction, especially when moving up or down, can be a little slow. On the other hand, dolphins are supremely flexible, and their horizontal tail means they can turn, spin, and change direction at a moment's notice. A dolphin's second advantage over their shark nemesis is a superior intellect. Dolphins have apparently taken Shark Anatomy 101 and know exactly where to strike in order to cause the greatest damage. Typically, dolphins aim for a shark's gills or soft underbelly, launching themselves at high speed towards the shark and ramming them with their hardened snouts. A well-placed strike can be fatal, with underbelly strikes causing extensive internal bleeding, organ rupture, or irreparable damage to the shark's gills, causing them to very quickly drown. Don't get me wrong, sharks can and do eat dolphins that are busy crater feeding.
These dolphins are trained killers, though.
Mm-hmm.
The Freemason plan has always been to kill the creator. So everything that's involved in the Freemason plan, Big Bang, evolution, dinosaurs, infinite space, they're all part of the same story. Kill God. If the Big Bang was real, then God becomes a lot less likely. If dinosaurs existed millions and millions of years before humans, then that shows that God made a mistake, and that invalidates it as well.
How do you feel about that?
No comment.
UFOs they want us to believe in UFOs. They're preparing us for a fake alien invasion. That's always been the plan. A one world government. The only way to do it is to get us to embrace it. And the only way to embrace it is from an alien attack. Ronald Reagan talked about it many times at the UN, CFR.
Yep.
Project Bluebeam.
Yep.
Project Bluebeam.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked Project Beam actually quite recently. If you have an episode, go to.
And we talked about
Wizards.
We talked about Project Bluebeam on season 1 as well.
Yes, we did. And we also just talked about MK Ultra. So we got some projects and some black budget things that we've talked about. If you haven't seen those episodes, people go check them out. Trust me, they're great.
Wizards are taking drugs in these temples and interfacing with these palantirs, these crystal balls, which aren't really crystal balls. It's their psychic focus of an interdimensional connection while they're on drugs looking into glass to then be able to see the future and understand what's happening to give them temporal power over this planet. But like the Bible tells you, any pharmakia or any of that always leaves destruction, because only evil is going to come through that way.
Was he
They were
spitting facts?
I don't know, but they were intently listening to him, not even saying anything. People be doing that with Alex Jones because sometimes he doesn't speak the truth.
He comes off as crazy to a lot of people, but I think he knows a little bit about what he's talking about. The man predicted 9/11.
Right.
Tartaria, that's the Tartars. That was the steppes of Russia. The Tartars and the, as they were called, marauding hordes that came across there actually came as far as the eastern parts of Siberia, and they had already traveled all the way from Ireland all the way to eastern Siberia, and they were coming back. And so literally when you say Tartaria, you're practically saying Khazarian, and when you're saying Khazarian, you're saying Scythian. And that would be also interpreted by where you said Scythian. If you said Scythian or Scythian, and you said in between the Black Sea and the Aral Sea, then you're talking about the Turks mixed with the Turanians, mixed with Tartars, mixed with Mongolians, and so you have all these different races all mixing there, and they kept pushing to the west. And this history is so confused that people don't understand the true nature even of the Hebrew race, and what we call Jews today is filled with people who are not of Hebrew blood, and 90% of them. And you say, well, how is that possible? Well, it's just simply history, and it's the migrations. But these migrations are so little understood because you're talking about cultures that were semi-nomadic, nomadic. They were basically, they didn't write anything down. And so where's their history? It's an oral history. And when you look at these oral histories, they seem like mythologies that couldn't have possibly happened. But if you look closely, they are actually literal. And they were the gift of one great master being named Scythianus, who was able to affect these cultures over a long period of time through multiple incarnations, according to Rudolf Steiner and others. I've done the research on it, and I'm quite convinced all you have to do is trace the origin of horses and the origin of cannabis and hemp, and you will find the origin culture for what they're calling Tartaria now, or I would call basically the migrations of the Turanians.
Does that prove that Tartaria existed?
I mean, there's a book that proved it, so I mean, yeah.
The more I research Tartaria, the more I'm likely believe, the more I am more inclined to believe that we were not the first people in America. Like
Right.
the like Christopher Columbus and all of them, like they never like they made it to America, but they didn't make it when they said they did, and they were not the first.
You're absolutely right. Especially back then, we had that bridge that's no longer visible. Only like parts of it that connected between Alaska and Russia.
Yeah, the land bridges. Crazy stuff, man. Like, because Tartaria, we've done an episode on Tartaria. We're going to do another episode because there's so much Tartaria out there. It's absolutely insane. But Tartaria is one of my favorite subjects. Tartaria is a subject that really intrigues Shaitan. It intrigues him so much. The first time we ever went over it, it left him speechless.
Yeah. Same thing with Robert with the flat Earth theory.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Given that I started out on this path in 1990, and I remember what it was like then, and I remember what it was like in the 1990s, and then through the millennium and on, until relatively recently, the awakening that is happening now since the COVID card was played is staggering by comparison. You know, I understand that people look at the situation now who may be relatively new to this, and they say, why aren't more people waking up? Why can't they see it? Well, they should have been with me in 1990 because there was virtually no one then. It was very rare that anyone would be looking at this stuff, let alone in the public arena.
Do you think that more people are waking up, or do you think it's about the same, or do you think nobody's waking up at all?
Honestly, we already got a woke community, so why do we need more?
No. That's not the woke they're talking about. Awakened meaning that these people are starting to understand that the governments are screwing them over. The governments don't actually care about them. There's more land. They probably think the Earth is flat. Space. certain things that the community is starting to realize or starting to piece together. Well, it's very interesting. Like that's what awakened it. That's what awakening your mind is. It's to know or question reality and question the woke you're thinking about are people that take a stance, and that stance is called being woke, and that's like you're for when you're like radically for some of the ideology that's going around today, whether that be um literally LGBTQ plus community culture, which I don't have an issue with, but some people get really crazy about it. And then of course you have the trans issue, which a lot of people um have been told that they're woke about that issue because of the whole sports everything, but I don't really want to get into that. You know what I mean? Um and then like there's just the woke culture, the you can't say this or I'll cancel you. The Me Too, the fake calling out of men who didn't actually essay women, but women said that they did, and everybody just woman, and it was called the Me Too. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Millions of women lawsuits on men, and half of them were falsified. Like literally, more than half of them were falsified. And
Right.
literally, there were men that were thrown in jail for allegations who lost everything over these allegations that didn't
Mm-hmm.
that didn't ever do anything. So that's woke culture, but awakening is completely different. So do you think that are more people are becoming awakened in this world now, or it's about the same in the 1990s as it is now, or do you think that nobody's waking up at all and everybody's just following line?
Honestly, in my point of view on this, so
Hey, Brett.
when it hello Brandon, when it comes to stuff like that, um how can I put it this way? Damn it, I lost my train of thought.
So we were talking about, do you think that more people are waking up to what's going on around them, or do you
Oh,
think that it's less or the same as the 1990s?
okay, yep, I just got my train of thought back on that. Okay, so honestly, I couldn't tell you an estimate whether if it's more or less, same or whatever, but I can say this. The more people that are waking up and starting to see everything that's going on, right? The more and more
Yeah.
people are starting to realize that things do not seem right. We have the Mandela effect trying to make us all think that things are what actually
Oh,
are
that's
when
Sorry, still working. Sorry,
and
crew, I
then
didn't mean to interrupt you.
right. And then you have and let's see what else. Then you have the oh, you're not allowed to go to Antarctica because we don't want you knowing that there's more to be seen. This is what is it. You go to Antarctica, you're breaking the law. Um, then you have oh, the you can't do this, you can't say that. Da da da. Okay, if we have things set into place, we have them and things that already was what people are starting to wake up and seeing the truth. You showed a video the other day about people found a way to see the simulation. Okay, well, why are they hiding it from us? We're waking up.
Well, I don't think simulation is being hidden from us. I think the simulation is blatant there, and the fact that we're in a simulation, like Christians should be happy about that. The reason I say that all Christians should be really happy that we're in simulation, it's because simulation theory proves God. That means God is real, guys. Like if the simulation is a real thing, that means God is real. And
Dude,
why A
Do you know?
simulation has to be created.
Do you know how
So
many
whoever
people would?
created a simulation, that's
Right. Do you know how many people would literally be like, "We've been lied to this whole entire time"? That like Christians, non-believers, saying that, "Oh, um, everything's the way it seems. We're in reality. If we're in reality, then how are we in a simulation? People aren't waking up
it's a
to the truth."
tricky question. Yeah. It says if I go to Antarctica by myself, whose law am I breaking? There's no government. Well, Brandon, you're actually mistaken. The law,
See,
there's law, and it's the Antarctic Treaty. And the
so
Antarctic Treaty says nobody will access Antarctica, nobody will go on Antarctica, nobody will mine Antarctica, nobody will build on Antarctica, and Antarctica is completely and totally protected by this treaty. If anybody breaks that treaty, it's immediate jail time, or if a country breaks the treaty, it's an act of war.
yeah. So when it comes to Antarctica and the Antarctic Treaty, if you do not have permission from your own home country, and you can't get permission from your state, you have to get permission from the entire country itself. If you go near Antarctica via plane or boat, and you do not have the permission to go near Antarctica, you will be stopped by aircraft, aircrafts, or a huge destroyer from any country that's in the Antarctic Treaty, because that's how protected.
Australia has a lot of warships, and they
Yeah.
patrol Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Now I want to know what's being hidden there and why." Well,
Okay, so we've done like what, 3 parts on flat Earth, Rob? 3 or 4, I can't remember.
we've done about probably 4.
We're probably going to do another part on flat Earth, and we cover a lot of Antarctica when it comes to flat Earth. So tune in if you want to know more. Watch some of the past flat Earth episodes we've done. Not the last one we done, because we basically went off track. But the other parts, because we covered a lot when it came to Antarctica itself, because Antarctica is basically in those ups is covered a lot more because the fact that it's an ice wall.
Yes. So that's one of the main beliefs.
Right.
All right. Well, going on to this
reality, this simulation, is the electromagnetic spectrum. And we, on one level, energetic fields, people call them the auric field, whatever, is an electromagnetic field. What are they doing? They are transforming the electromagnetic field, which we are living in, into a completely different state. This is what the towers all over the world are increasingly. This is what the low orbit satellites, and they have permission for tens of thousands of them, that are firing this technologically generated radiation, 5G, I could say 6G, 7G to come. And the idea is to hit every single inch of the planet with this stuff. Why? They are creating a technological sub-reality. That's what the smart grid is. You've got this simulation, this reality. Now they're creating a simulation within a simulation called the smart grid. And then they're in the process of creating a simulation within a simulation within a simulation, which is what they call the metaverse. Each level of the simulation People are being pulled more and more and more into the fake realities of these multiple simulations and out of the expanded consciousness, the spirit that they really are. So the very field that we are interacting with is being transformed by this onslaught of technologically generated radiation.
Dang.
Brandon says, is it a Game of Thrones type icewall?
Good question.
I don't know. I didn't.
Honestly, okay. So, Rob, look up the ice wall of Game of Thrones real quick, and then Antarctica.
Ice wall in Game of Thrones. There's ice wall in Antarctica. The Game of Thrones ice wall was get this, guys. The Game of Thrones ice wall is from Antarctica. It's a portion of Antarctica.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. It's a portion of Antarctica. This is what they modeled their ice wall off of.
Huh.
And then I'll pull up the actual Game of Thrones one and we'll see. That's the one in Antarctica. And this is the one in Game of Thrones. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
But that's honestly probably how big the ice wall would be if you got up next to it.
If there was no water.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they didn't have water on this one. Why was there an ice wall in Game of Thrones?
Why?
Yeah, why an ice wall in Game of Thrones?
I've explained this to you last time we did the episode, but I'll explain it to you again since you probably forgot. Okay, so remember the White Walkers? Okay, so you have White Walkers, and then you have the Wildlings. You have giants, and you have all this other stuff. To basically, the reason why they had the ice wall was to keep all those from escaping to enter Westeros. Westeros is basically Britain. That ice wall,
Right.
in medieval terms, if it wasn't, fiction, but, or non-fiction, because it's basically based off real life medieval terms, that ice wall is basically separating Scotland and Great Britain in medieval terms. But in Game of Thrones terms, the ice wall was separating Westeros from the north.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I still got Game of Thrones, man.
I had a really weird psychedelic called 5-MeO-DMT, which is the smoked venom of the Sonoran desert toad. Who figured that out, should get some kind of prize. Very potent and, thank God, short-acting. Short-lived. You take like one puff, and before you exhale, you're shot out of a cannon. There's no lead-up. It's no warm-up. It's like, boom. And I felt like I was actually like strapped to the outside of a rocket, you know, going through space and through clouds, and like the G-forces pulling down my cheeks, and it was just this mental storm. Nothing to orient myself. There was no space. There was no time. There was no self. It was horrible. It was terrifying, and I thought I was dying. But then you come down as kind of a suborbital flight, and then I started coming down, and suddenly I could feel, oh, I got a body. You know, I was touching my legs. I have a body, and like, oh, there's a floor. There's space, and then there's time, and the universe kind of reconsolidated, and I had this feeling of incredible gratitude.
That's a crazy trip.
Yeah.
Dude, he smoked a toad.
That now that you said that, I'm
I
like,
bet your mom would get a kick
well,
out of
right.
it. He smoked.
That's funny.
This whole system is held together merely because we take it seriously. It's our thought energy that's holding it together. Someone pointed out something very true. If you put a piece of money across the counter, you'll buy something. That person who took your money will buy something else with it, buy something else with it. People are taking that piece of paper seriously.
Very serious.
Then someone points out, hey, hold on a minute. This is not legit. This is counterfeit. Immediately, the thought form and the perception of that piece of paper has changed. Now it's worth nothing. It was buying things before when people were taking it seriously. And if we stop taking this system seriously and start walking away from it, not fighting it and meeting the same energy and creating conflict and frustration, just saying, okay, you want to do that? I'm going to create my own system, or we are, which is actually going to delink us from that. I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to walk away from you and do something different that makes my life work.
Kind of sounded like talking about cryptocurrency.
Now that you said that, I was almost leaning towards that. Now I'm pretty sure it sounds like cryptocurrency.
The toad thing reminds me of the Futurama episode where they licked toads and got high. Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's 5-MeO-DMT. It's the toad drug.
Right.
The toad drug, man. So basically, you'll like squeeze these toads and they secrete like a pus, and you can either lick that, you can like take the pus and like scrape it off onto a piece of paper and dry it out and proceed to smoke it, I guess, on a trip. Or you can, yeah, like you can do, basically that's the only two ways to use it, I think, is to lick it or smoke it. And it's literally a toad. Like, it's an animal. You're getting high off of an animal. That's really
Right.
Brandon says, I would watch. I watched. Yeah, dude, I love Futurama. I've seen every episode of Futurama. Stuff's amazing.
Decided to go public and say, for the first time, of anyone of cabinet rank from the G8 group of countries, that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying over your head. There's one species that looks something like a praying mantis. The short grays are the ones that you see in the cartoons. The Nordic blondes, for example, are so similar to humans that they can walk down the street and not be detected. None of them are exactly the same.
That was a Canadian prime minister or an ex-Canadian prime minister talking about aliens and their existence, and that he knows of these races, he's seen them, and he knows what they can do. How do you feel about a government leader literally coming out and saying that?
Trippy.
Is he full of crap?
Sounds like it.
Who knows, right?
Yeah. It's all alleged
The
at this
beings.
point.
They're called ebens, extraterrestrial biological entities. So the eben was there, and it had this little kind of black rectangular box. And it was used, so they didn't have to speak verbally like we are. It was kind of telepathic, but augmented with this technology. And it went back and forth that way. Now the human was just receiving it, but very clear. And then this eben was receiving it, probably innately, but assisted. So I call this consciousness-assisted technology, CAT. And then the reverse, technology-assisted consciousness, where the technology can help project your remote viewing capability. It goes both ways.
It's Dr. Stephen Greer talking about the eben. Do you believe in the ebens?
The Eden?
The ebens.
Eben.
They're extraterrestrials.
I couldn't tell you if I believe in
They
them or
come from
not.
outer. Don't fall asleep there, crew. I already
No,
fell asleep last night.
I know, but hold on. I'm thinking when you asked me that. Dang it! Now I lost my train of thought. I had a good thing in my head. Now I lost it. Ask me the question again.
I just asked you, do you believe in ebens? Do you believe
Ebens.
that they're an alien race?
Sounds like a far-fetched fairy tale to me. Because here's the thing: we've never been to outer space.
So she watches too much TV, also, Brandon.
The beings. They're called ebens.
They're called
In
ebens.
1980, a Japanese journalist filmed an iPhone. It was an iPhone 13, and this video is currently resurfacing on the internet, creating an incredible buzz. This show was filmed in 1980 around Hiroshima. You know that a bomb exploded in Hiroshima in 1945, which led to the city being deserted due to radiation. The show is about returning to the site to observe the abandoned houses and objects left behind. At the time, the journalist thought he had found a mirror, because theoretically, the iPhone didn't exist in 1980. However, it was indeed an iPhone 13. The most worrying part is that no one can explain how an iPhone 13 ended up there in 1980. The journalist, perplexed, didn't know what to make of it and genuinely believed it was a mirror. So, who can explain this glitch in the Matrix, please?
How about that? An iPhone 14 at Hiroshima in the in the 80s. Was that the 80s? 1984?
I mean, give me a second. I'm trying to think on this one.
iPhones
You're
weren't
literally
even
doing this to me a lot tonight, dude. You're giving me hard ones to think about. Like you did on freaking Tartaria. I'm gonna pass on this one because I can't even think about it right now.
You don't understand how that happened?
Yeah, no.
And say that they all have the same agenda any more than we could say that the United States, China, and Russia had the same agenda. Our real interests may be very similar, but as of now, our perceived interests are still quite far apart. One more observation before I begin what I want to say, and that is that we spent quite a bit of time talking about the 66-year-old cadavers. And I was glad to have Linda this morning finally say that there are live ETs on Earth at this present time, and at least 2 of them probably working with the United States government. Well, enough on that for now. My interest is in full disclosure. And my only caveat is I think probably I would say 95 to 98% full disclosure. I know of 1 or 2 things that I'm not sure should be in the public domain, at least yet. They will be someday, I'm sure, but not maybe immediately. But just as children survive the idea of the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus when they become adult, I think that tax-paying citizens are quite capable of accepting the new and broader reality that we live in a cosmos teeming with life of various sorts. The fact that some other civilizations are more advanced than we are may be humbling. It exists, and it's being kept secret by the same vested interests who control our destiny. Who are these vested interests, and what are they up to? Well, Senator, you were talking about a military junta. In my opinion, that is true, but I have broadened and deepened the definition to cabal, and the cabal comprises members of the 3 sisters: the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergers, and the Trilateral Commission, the International Banking Cartel, the Oil Cartel, members of various intelligence organizations, and select members of the military junta, who together have become a shadow government of not only the United States, but of much of the Western world. The aim of the game is a world government comprising members of the cabal who are elected by no one and accountable to no one. And according to Mr. Rockefeller, the plan is well.
New World Order?
Yeah, New World Order. That's what police state. That's what I'm thinking of. Martial
Yeah,
law, New World Order.
That's basically what he's talking about. He's saying that aliens are real and that they're working with the government, possibly the United States government, and that people should know they shouldn't be afraid, and that basically we're being used like a prison planet.
This tale revolves around a peculiar character who, in a matter of just 2 weeks, transformed a mere $800 into a staggering $350 million in the stock market. He claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2256, a world where time travel is a common practice. Carlson attributed his uncanny knack for predicting market shifts to his knowledge of the future. His every stock pick was accurate, a feat so unlikely it baffled the authorities. But his story took a strange twist when he disappeared, leaving no trace behind while out on bail. Whether a time traveler or an incredibly lucky guesser, Carlson's story stirs curiosity.
Okay. People throughout the years have claimed that they are a time traveler, but time travel has not been proven. It's been theorized basically by many smart, famous individuals like Stephen Hopkins, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, and so many others. But you can't go backwards, you can only go forward. So that one is basically sounds to me like a dude's freaking twacked out of his fucking mind and thinks he's from another another time period.
You don't even think it's possible?
I mean, if it is, it would have been done already.
Who's to have? We've just been lied to about time travel.
Well, we can't prove it, so it's all alleged right now.
Brandon says that aliens could have taught somebody how to travel.
And here's another thing. Black holes could be ways to go through time.
Yeah. Yeah, black holes, man. But the problem with black holes is you don't know when they're gonna where you're going through, and they post thing apart that they take in.
Right.
So let's talk about Bohemian Grove. This is one of the first things that you did, almost like a vlog style. Before anybody was doing vlogs, Alex Jones was doing vlogs.
So I don't know much about it when I sneak in. It's like, okay, you're going to pay me to sneak in and get guys worshiping an owl. Sure. Okay, I'll sneak into your camp. I mean, I wanted a free trip to Northern California. Okay, so again, I'm a Christian, but I'm like, okay, devils and devil worship, that's what people do in like on acid and trailer parks. Okay, the world of the leader not worshiping an owl. Okay? Yeah. And so it comes time, I fly out there, a little, DV cams just come out, this little compact camera, put it in the fanny pack, and basically it was all true. It happened. It was insane. So it's on the Russian River, totally beautiful. It's the biggest stand of redwood trees outside of the big national park in California. So they pull up to the entrance, and there's like a bog and a little bit of a swamp right here off the road, and they go, okay, Alex, you're going to walk through. And I had a feeling, and I saw that they were pulling cars into park in a parking lot over here and picking them up on these big flatback buses. And I made a split-second decision to step off and go through the barbed wire fence, because this is before the checkpoint, and just act like I was in the parking lot and get on one of those. And so we just sailed through, because Mike Hansen, my producer, also went in with me, because it would be better to be two people. People aren't usually alone. And so they've told me some of the passcodes to different camps, because it's like little camps and cabins and stuff and like bars and things there that are built all over. There's over 100 camps.
Do you remember what the passcode was?
It was stuff like, I'm with the Hillbillies, Red Mountain. That was, I'm with the Hillbillies.
I'm Alex Jones. I'm here with the Hillbillies. All right.
Well,
cool.
I chose that because that's the Bush's camp. It's like a Texas camp that's kind of midway up. So we get off, and I'm like, okay, I got a map here. I want to go see the owl. I want to make sure this is real, because the pond's supposedly only like a half mile down. So I'm going in the gorge, and people are walking by, and I'm like, that's a senator. I know who's that. You recognize people because you've seen them, but you're trying to think, who is that? They're basically all famous. All of a sudden, I'm walking by this big pond. Like, there's the big 45-foot owl. Oh my gosh! And they already had it, like getting it ready over by the side, like this banner, like a mummy, but like a child. The mock sacrifice they burned. So I saw that. I'm like, okay. It starts getting dark, and I go, okay, let me reload the camera, get ready. I've got a little hole in it here with a hole in the front I can lift up. This is makeshift where I can hit the button on the back. And there they're playing. Dun, 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 dun. And there's an orchestra playing, and they're all eating, and there's these giant tables, and I can just smell the food. And that's looking good. I'm like 100 yards above it, looking down like this cat. But now it's getting dark, so I feel safe, and everybody's drunk by then. Now everybody's going down to the water. So you go around the owl on this bank to then see the owl about 60, 70 yards away. And this high priest comes out in his white robes and red cape, and he's got the staff, and he says, let the dead who were here before us, their spirits be here. And so they did, and they go through like this cornucopia of like Babylon gods, and they summon all these different gods, and they say, but we summon the most powerful, the goddess, to renew us the next year and give us strength and rebuild our bodies and give us the thing we need. And we bring an offering forward to our God so that we will be able to put all of our sin and trouble onto it. And then this open, ornate, I'd say like 18th century British carriage comes out with big glass sides with a coffin on it, like a 5-year-old size coffin, like a 5-year-old child would be in, and a bunch of priests, like with a whole bunch of guys with torches. I got all this on video. Come out, guys with torches in front of I think it was like 4 people bearing the coffin. They take the effigy of the child out and put it in front of it. And so it's like, be gone, Duncan! And it's like, we forward to feed you now. Please don't kill me, no, please. Like, yes, we're gonna kill you. And I'm sitting there going, like it's a play. They're not taking this serious. And these old men are sitting there just going, but like in a satanic type deal. They were just going, and I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, and Mike was kind of, hey, how's it going? They're like, this is important.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, and so you're like, they're dead serious.
July 4th, 2023 is here. Declare independence against the globalists, against Klaus Schwab.
So that was your Bohemian Grove crew.
Right.
How do you feel about that? About his description and his video? He was the first one to ever sneak.
I mean, yeah, he was the first one to ever sneak in Bohemian Grove, but at the same time, it's a need to know basis, basically harmful conspiracy to talk about. That's how I can only put it right now. I'm not going to put it in any other words because of the fact when we talk about Bohemian Grove, there's not much to talk about because at the same time they keep their secrets so well.
Right. Brandon says Alex Jones is always a hoot to listen to. He really is, though.
Yeah.
You are all actually already dead, but no one knows it. I'm going to tell you this incredible theory. But first, subscribe. When we die, our brain continues to live for 7 minutes and replays all the most beautiful moments of our life, like in a dream. Time passes more slowly in real life, which can explain why these 7 minutes seem like an eternity. The greatest scientists have stated that when we will find the God particle, our existence could end in just 1 day. And in 2012, we found it. Since 2012, the world has changed in a negative way. And if you feel like you're living a dream every day, it would confirm the theory that
Did we flip? Did we flip and something went wrong, and now the Earth is going in a negative direction?
Mandela effect.
It could be like the Mandela effect could be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to think about.
Mm-hmm.
This is known as the most convincing case of time travel in the whole of history. Sergei Ponomarenko was a guy who literally appeared out of nowhere in Kiev in 2006. So he arrived wearing really outdated clothes and had a camera that looked very old. He claimed that he was walking down the street with his girlfriend when a blinding light appeared and transported him to 2006. After conducting an investigation, the police told him that he had to show some kind of proof that he was from that era. He then suggested they look at the photos in his camera. There was an undeveloped film in the device. When they developed it, it revealed photos of a girl that seemed to date back to the 1950s in Kiev. So, there are two options. Either this guy had a camera from the 1950s at 25 years old, and he knew the contents of the undeveloped photos. There were also photos of him on the device. So they asked, "Okay, who is this girl in the pictures?" He replied, "That's my girlfriend." They then asked for her name to look her up, but it was at that moment that the police were stunned. He literally
Tired when they cut off a specific important informational thing in the middle of the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they always do that crap. But do you think the time travel, like once again, man, do you think it's possible?
No. No. If it
No,
was
you don't think that's
possible,
possible?
yeah, if it was possible, it would already been done, and a lot of people would find out about time travel.
They're saying it has already been done.
Okay, well, it's all alleged. So how has it been done when no one's seen it, except for a chronovisor that's probably not even real either?
Right. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask a time traveler.
Yeah, and literally, yeah, no. I don't want to look like I'm crazy talking to a loony bin, dude.
Bro, we should find an alleged time traveler and do an interview with the podcast.
Okay, so we bring in somebody who believes they've been in time on the podcast, tried to hold our laughters because we're jerks like that sometimes. And yeah, I'm good. I can't even read
That's
that.
the
Just how,
underground.
that's the
It's
Underground
the
Railroad.
underground highway. It's the
Okay.
underground highway. Basically, the giant highway that goes all the way around the United States. And that man showed us all what it looks like. And yes, it is real. It is there. There are so many access ramps to that highway. It's insane. And Brent, you say you're a truck driver. Do you know about this underground highway? Have you ever been on it? Brandon says it wouldn't be too hard to find a traveler in downtown KC. Just saying.
I mean,
Brandon, you ever been on the underground highway?
However, in the mid-1990s, a man came forth with a stunning story about his experiences in an underground base built under the Archuleta Mesa, just north of Dulce. His name was Phil Schneider.
Phil Schneider, he started going public in the mid-1990s, and he started attending some UFO conferences and started to reveal his background as a civil engineer. He showed his documentation that he was the son of an Operation Paperclip scientist, and that he was recruited into these covert programs. It tends to be a kind of generational thing, so he just followed his father's footsteps, building these underground bases that would be joint facilities for extraterrestrials and elite human units. So he's building these bases all over the place. He's part of the team that kind of like is looking at different areas that would be suitable for the construction of a base. And he described a number of incidents. One of the incidents happened in 1979, the famous Dulce battle, where he says that they sunk a shaft. They were basically doing some mining exploration there to see where they could build a facility in that arena, and they basically came into an area that was a very old cavern system where grey extraterrestrials had a base. And the story was that what happened was that there were elite military units that went down there, Delta Forces and other special forces, SEALs and so forth, went down there, and they basically encountered these tall grey extraterrestrials. And so there was a firefight down there, and approximately 60 military personnel and scientists were killed. And Schneider gets wounded, but he's alive, and he gets extracted out of there. So that's the famous Dulce battle, which was basically where the US military went into an area where they weren't supposed to be.
His version of events is that there was an altercation there. He was involved in the altercation. He was hit with some sort of a plasma weapon which seared off a portion of his hand, and that he had managed to escape with samples, synthetic samples that were synthesized by the Greys that essentially led to the development of our stealth technology. He was displaying these at conferences as part of these preparedness expos. He had this whole connection to aliens, essentially. And for him, the catalyst was his time at Dulce. And it was this 1979 engagement with the Greys. And that's pretty much the crux of his story. And as you know, he went on the lecture circuit and died as a result.
Phil Schneider was an interesting character who's now deceased. His father was a man named Oscar Schneider, who had a lot of responsibility during the Second World War. He was involved in early atomic bomb tests, worked on nuclear submarines, and according to Phil Schneider, his father also worked on the infamous Philadelphia experiment in 1943, which was allegedly a program to try and make a warship invisible to the enemy. But as far as Phil Schneider's concerned, he came forward many years ago now, talking about how he said he was an engineer and was working on a lot of programs to construct massive underground installations all across the United States.
He is stupid for that one. Well, brave.
Phil Schneider said that the aliens came from underground.
Well, I mean,
he didn't say they came from outer space.
I know, but at the same time, I'm going to have to get in a really big, deep conversation about this when we do another episode on, like, you know, just that one big topic, because I'm going to be ranting for hours, dude, and I don't want to do that. Not to mention, I'm keep losing train of thought because you've been hitting me with a lot of good clips today, and now I can't get a good train of thought because now my mind's blank. And I'm just sitting here quietly because I can't think of what I want to say. And then that one older dude, the older dude earlier that you played a video of, he was putting me to sleep. I'll admit to that one.
Which one?
The old dude that was sitting, you know, talking to like the Supreme Court or something.
Yeah.
His voice was putting me to sleep. Not gonna lie. I'm like, dang.
So I can't say it, but I'm telling you, I know what's going to happen next. How much metal you have in your body will affect you when this thing happens. It has to do with frequency. Okay, so that I stay safe, that I can come back, and I stay alive, I want to tell you something. I will give you a hint to what he showed me. It's going to happen, and you have to get rid of these metals in your body. And it could happen tomorrow. It could happen, but they're going to say it's something else. You're going to have to do your own thinking about this. I don't want to get in trouble, but just stick a piece of foil in a microwave, and picture that in your body. And now.
Basically saying we have a lot of metals in the body.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Which is very true. We have a lot of metal and a lot of plastic.
Right.
Actually, I don't think it's good for us.
It's not.
Brandon said he's picturing fireworks.
Huh? Sounds like Brandon.
We walked over to one side of the lab and he said, by the way, we've discovered a base on the back side of the moon. And I said, whose? What do you mean, whose? He said, yes, we've discovered a base on the back side of the moon. And at that point, I became frightened and I was a little terrified, thinking to myself that if anybody walks in the room now, I know we're in jeopardy. We're in trouble because he shouldn't be giving me this information. And then he pulled out one of these mosaics and showed this base, which had geometric shapes. There were towers. There were spherical buildings. There were very tall towers and things that looked somewhat like radar dishes, but they were large structures. I realized that he was telling me this information because he didn't have anybody else to talk to. Now, probably in that laboratory, he was probably one of the few enlisted people, and he was a worker bee. And he had a high-level security clearance, obviously. But he couldn't share that information with anybody else. And in those days, we didn't. When you had your security clearance, you took it seriously. If I compare it to what I'm seeing now, because I do have photographs that have artifacts in them that are similar to what I saw, they're massive. Some of the structures are, half a mile in size. So they're huge structures. And they're all different size structures in different photographs. You would have to have an above top secret security clearance, which generally would be cryptologic or above. In my case, I ultimately did have a cryptologic security clearance, and when I did have that clearance, I had access to all of the imagery from the e12s, from the satellite photography. I had access to everything we were doing. Now, the thing that was interesting about my job as an electronics technician, I got to go into every area of the facility. I got to go into the war room at SAC, Strategic Air Command, and did maintenance on equipment there. So I would see a lot of data that people generally wouldn't see with my rank. Normally you would go into your job, you'd do your one little task. If you were a photographic interpreter, that's all you did. You didn't discuss what you did with anyone else. If you worked on U2 imagery, you worked on U2 imagery. If you worked on satellite imagery, you worked on satellite imagery. But you didn't discuss your job with anyone else. And you only did your task.
I don't even know how they
Makes
answer that
sense.
question. It makes sense, but there's a lot of stuff that he added in there. I was like, oh, great. Now I can't think because it's so far fetched.
Putting stuff together that doesn't really go together.
Right, it's basically an opposite effect kind of crap.
Kind of creating a bigger story for something that doesn't even need a storyline.
Right.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
You felt like it was bullshit.
Sometimes. I mean,
are
at the
actually
same,
living in.
Same time,
You
who
mean
isn't
what?
full of shit? Who isn't full of shit?
Quite a few people.
Right.
We are actually living in 17.
At the same time,
What?
most of the shit is alleged, so we can't prove shit.
Right.
We are actually living in 1726. In 1991, a German historian by the name of Hermann Illig proposed a theory called phantom time hypothesis, suggesting that the years 814 through 911 AD never happened. Well, you see, Illig claimed that these years were actually made up by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII, by altering documentation and converting the Gregorian calendar in order to fast forward time to the sacred year 1000 AD, as Otto's ruling that starts on the millennial year 1000 AD would sound much better and be more legitimate. This theory is further backed up, as while there are written documents, there seem to be a lot of missing artifacts from those 297 years. Looking at the example of how Tartaria was written out of existence, it seems like it really wouldn't be that hard for the elites of the world to rewrite history, and just maybe.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you on this one, Robert. I already know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it's Tartaria. They did
Yeah,
rewrite
Tartaria.
history.
Yeah.
They wrote history. The
And
great
then lied
race.
to. We got lied to about a lot of things, and people don't want to believe anything about it.
Exactly. But that's because people are usually they believe what they're told, they believe what they're taught in school, and they don't self research.
Right.
All right, Chad, who you got? Remember, they could kick.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to be his advantage. Powell's
The reach.
advantage is the reach and the kicks.
Okay,
Gotta
so
keep his distance.
let's see what Jeremy does here.
Oh, yeah, he's ready.
Oh, my God.
Round one. Fight. Yep. Coming right to him.
No way he can take him down like that. What the fuck? Nah, that's bad, pal.
Dang! What a takedown. What a takedown. Oh.
No way.
Ready right on top of him. Come on, pal.
No way.
Come on, pal.
No way, pal.
Come on, pal. You got to do something. Don't let the ref stop it.
Oh.
No way.
It's like that?
Bro, nobody was expecting that outcome.
Right.
The small guy just is the big guy.
Mm-hmm. David and Goliath kind of story.
That's hilarious.
Right.
The big not expecting it either.
Why do they not want us to know what's the big threat that we would know it's flat? What does that
Because that's the
threaten?
truth. They don't want us to know the truth. They want us on a ball. Don't go anywhere. You're just going to go in a circle. You're going to go stay where you're at. Don't
Well,
go anywhere.
where
we would
would we go?
explore. We would explore. We would find that there's a lot of hidden lands.
Under the ice?
No, on the other, like
in
beyond.
Game of Thrones. On the other side of the ice.
If we're like a lake, there's a bunch of
I
lakes.
get it.
There's a bunch of
I
land.
totally get you. Okay.
They're hiding land. They're not telling us about everything.
Eddie, did
they got us? They got us in the center. They got us locked in the center in this lake. We're not a ball spinning through space. They think we're. Do you think you're spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour?
No, because my hair ain't even moving.
Exactly. They're telling us we're spinning 4 different ways at speeds you can't see. They're telling us that the Earth is spinning on its own axis at 1,000 miles an hour. That's
Yeah.
right. And then the Earth is spinning around the sun at 60,000 miles an hour. And then the sun is spinning around the center of the Milky Way at 666,000 miles. Everything is 666.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Everything is 666.
Oh,
in
I knew
space.
that.
Isn't that a coincidence?
No. I mean, we
And then, okay,
all know,
so
don't
they're-
we all know? Wait, I'm choking.
So they're telling us that we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour one way, 60,000 miles an hour another way, and then 600,000 miles an hour another way, and then 1,000,000. Then the whole Milky Way galaxy is spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour through the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yet we're motionless.
Was that Roseanne?
It was Roseanne Barr.
Oh God.
I like Roseanne.
I stopped caring for her after I found out what she'd done.
She didn't do anything. Like I read up all about it already, and she really didn't do anything. She said something that was taken as being racist, but in all reality, she was on prescription medicine, sleeping, and what that medicine's called Ambien. And when she was on Ambien, she would sleep, like she would be awake. She would actually sleeping, and she would do things without even knowing that she was doing it. I'm not giving her an excuse for what she did, but I'm saying that she didn't have a lot of control of what she was doing back then because of the prescription drugs she was on, and she's an older lady. And you have to remember that they canceled her because she ran for president. That's the only reason why they canceled her, is because she wanted to. She was actually the first person to want to make America great again, in my opinion.
Right.
That was Roseanne she supposedly said something that was racist, but from everything that I've looked through, it wasn't even directed to be racist or supposed to be racist. So that doesn't make very much sense to me. It sounds like she was used as a ploy, and she was taught a lesson to teach everybody else to not screw with the government.
Let's look at the photo. You say that's me? Okay. Check out the name badge. It says Aldrin. Looks like you're right. But notice the helmet. Can you see my face? No. This is a secret I've been keeping for almost half a century. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and I pulled off humanity's first extraterrestrial prank.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest? It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. Money is a good thing. If you want to buy new things, new rockets, instead of keep doing the same thing over, then it's going to cost more money. And other things need more money too. So having achieved what the president wanted us to do, and then what thousands, millions of people in America, and millions of people around the world. You know, when we toured around the world after we came back, the most fascinating observation was signs that said, we did it. Not just us, not just America, but we, the world, different countries. They felt like they were part of what we were able to do. And that made us feel very good.
It's a lot to take in.
Well, that's Buzz Aldrin telling everybody that we never really went to the moon.
Right.
He's supposedly one of the astronauts. I like how your cat's on stream right now.
He keeps doing that, and I'm trying to get him to stop. Sorry, Snap. Like I keep like pushing him away because I'm having my phone like lay down to charge. Because his issue is like he likes to lay near me, and I'm close to my charger, and he knocked the freaking charger out.
1:30 in the afternoon on August 8th, 1999, a park ranger named Lance Manson stood frowning down at a dusty red Mazda car inside of an otherwise empty parking lot just outside of Carlsbad Caverns National Park in New Mexico. Lance knew the two men who owned this red Mazda had taken out a one-night permit to be allowed to go into Rattlesnake Canyon, which is one of the most isolated parts of this national park. It's basically just a single long scrubby little trail that's kind of all desert with high canyon walls on either side. In order to get access to Rattlesnake Canyon, people need to go to the visitor center and literally fill out paperwork so the park rangers know they're out there and can go out and check on them if they don't come back in time. And so the two men who owned the Mazda had done that. They had filled out all the paperwork, but now Lance was noticing they had not returned at the end of their permit. They had stayed out, presumably in Rattlesnake Canyon, for an additional 3 nights. Now, Lance was not concerned because people did do this, It was more like he was annoyed because now he would have to go out into Rattlesnake Canyon and find these two guys and figure out what was going on. So Lance and the park volunteer that he was with began walking on the trail in the direction of Rattlesnake Canyon. And after walking less than a mile on this trail, Lance and this volunteer looked up ahead, and just off the trail, there was a green and maroon tent that was pitched right out in the open. And so Lance immediately assumed that this had to be the two men who owned the red Mazda. And so very quickly, Lance's annoyance was replaced with relief, because it turned out it was really easy to find these two campers, and he'd be able to go figure out what was going on and either get them back to their car and get them to leave, or if they wanted to, they could, in theory, extend and stay longer with the right permitting. But when Lance and his partner walked down the trail and left the trail to go walk over to this tent, they started to notice there was something off about it. Right away, as they got closer and closer to this tent, they began to smell this horrible kind of chemical burning smell. And then also all over the ground were all these little bits of burned pieces of trash. And then finally, when Lance and his partner actually arrived right in front of the tent, and they were looking down at the closed flap, it was zipped shut, they saw clearly there was something moving around inside of the tent. But whoever or whatever it was wasn't making any noise. And so Lance and his partner, they kind of looked at each other, and they both at this point were pretty nervous. You know, their hearts are racing. They don't know what's going on here. And then Lance just kind of impulsively reached down, unzipped the tent, and lifted it open. And when he saw what was inside, he immediately was hit with this wave of fear and anxiety. 3 days earlier, on August 5th, 1999, a 26-year-old man named David Coughlin woke up in a sleeping bag inside.
Like to go camp through?
I love going camping.
Something like that where you went camping.
Oh,
While
if
you
something
went camping.
I'm not going camping if something like that is going to happen, but I do love camping.
I too. I love going camping. Camping is one of my favorite things to do, actually.
I went on a camping trip with Brandon.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
That's
You probably don't remember it, but me and the old group that we hung out with, which you know of, Rob, all went on a camping trip back in like 2014.
That's
over the summer. It was pretty cool.
I love camping. So much fun.
This is the moment Gary Hilton, aka the National Forest serial killer, confessed to murdering nurse Cheryl Dunlap in a new death row interview, a secret which he'd kept for 17 years.
The woman I killed in Tallahassee, that I have my current death sentence for, that case currently is under appeal. Right. As a matter of fact, it hasn't been finally adjudicated, but hey, I'm going to give you a news scoop. I did it.
He did it.
What was it about?
He's a serial
This is the
killer.
moment Gary Hilton, aka the National Forest serial killer, confessed to murdering nurse Cheryl Dunlap in a new death row interview, a secret which he'd kept for 17 years.
The woman I killed in Tallahassee, that I have my current death sentence for, that case currently is under appeal. Right. As a matter of fact, it hasn't been finally adjudicated, but hey, I'm going to give you a news scoop. I did it.
I had to hear that again because it went too fast for me. So, yeah, that right there, that man right there, literally, he's at that point where he's just giving up and he wants to just get it done and over with.
Right. Crew.
We'll have to get Brandon on for that one sometime. The three of us will have to have a talk, and he'll explain it. It's funny.
Right.
What is Walmart really hiding beneath the ground? In 2015, Walmart suddenly and urgently shut down 5 of its stores in Texas, Florida, and several other states. Many believe a shocking secret may have been discovered. According to a woman who claimed to have been inside, the center area of the store, which was once flat, had been dug into a massive, terrifying hole that looked like a giant, silent, and eerie mouth. Outside the store, structures resembling defense systems were set up, and military presence increased significantly, as if they were dealing with an urgent crisis. Notably, the Texas location was one of the highest-grossing Walmart branches in the U.S., generating billions in revenue each year. So why would Walmart willingly take such a massive economic loss to suddenly shut down its stores? The official explanation from the company seemed unconvincing. They claimed the plumbing system had issues and would require around 6 months for repairs. However, this raised eyebrows. A Walmart technician stated that even if the entire drainage system were replaced, repairs would never take 6 months. Even local authorities confirmed that Walmart never applied for plumbing repair permits. No requests were filed, and there was no valid reason for such a long closure. So, could there really be something hidden beneath the store? Just as the woman had said? Currently, some theories suggest that the underground area may have secretly been transformed into a FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency facility, possibly for detaining or interrogating certain U.S. citizens. This aligns with the timing of a U.S. military drill called Z-25. A leaked map from the drill marked Texas as a hostile red zone. Moreover, the store closures coincided with the timing of the military exercises. Some conspiracy theorists believe the military was planning to use secret underground tunnels in Texas and nearby areas to take control of the 5 closed Walmart locations and convert them into detention centers. As speculation spread rapidly, both Walmart and the military quickly denied all such theories. Another theory suggests that the store closures were a strategic move in retaliation against employees who organized strikes demanding higher wages, something that did happen in 2015 at a Walmart in John Care, Canada. However, this theory does not explain the mysterious deep hole. In the end, why did Walmart suddenly shut down those stores? To this day, the mystery remains unsolved.
What are you doing?
What do you think I think on that? Okay, so a little inside little thing. I read how Walmart came into intuition, so that's a little shocker to me. I'm learning all that.
Yeah, about all the supposed tunnels.
Yeah. Hey, don't be falling asleep on me now, mister.
Why would they need those tunnels?
You were about to fall asleep.
No, I'm good. Why would they need those tunnels?
I don't know. Honestly.
It's like some
I couldn't tell you why. Honestly, it's hard to. Shit, now I can't even think why. But it's a shocker that they're running to shut down all those WalMarts, though.
right, especially when Walmart generates a lot of revenue each year.
And here's the thing: I don't even like Walmart.
I don't either. I'd rather shop somewhere else.
If I'm going shopping, and this is just me, right? If I'm going to like something kind of like Walmart, I'm going to go to Sam's Club, Costco, or Target.
Right.
Or if it was still around, which it's not, but I'm going to give you a little, nostalgia from our childhood. Kmart.
Oh yeah, Walmart. miss Kmart.
Me too.
Back in the day, my mom always take me to Kmart. Well, anyways,
Remember,
guys, we've reached part of our episode where we only have one video left. So after me and Crew are finished talking here, I'll play that video, and that's going to end tonight's episode. I hope all of you have a great night tonight, listening to us and just hanging out and vibing. We did quite a few different videos, and Brandon broke Crew, and I broke Crew. So it's a pretty good night tonight. So, anyways,
Yeah.
then
Oh, okay. So, like I was saying, remember that one Kmart that was on 24 Highway?
yeah.
I went to that one a lot.
Yeah, it's still important too. Also,
And then I used to go to the one out in our hometown, Blue Springs.
yeah, that was the one that I wasn't here for.
That one was okay. So you know where Hy-Vee is at?
Yeah,
That's where it was. It was like right over there.
gotcha. Yeah, there'd be a lot of stuff here that's not around here anymore.
Yeah.
Brandon said he's always happy to break your mind.
He's not joking either.
Well, anyways, guys, without further ado, here is our last video for the night.
He just stole my patrol car. He stole my patrol car, Central. He's running northbound. Lights are on. He tried to take my gun from my holster. He's got my rifle in the car. He's running northbound codes. Send meds to me. The wife is up. He beat up. Get out. Get out.
Yo, spike him. Spike him or pin him. Pin him. He's got a gun. He's got a rifle. Spike him or pin him. He stole the patrol car. He stole the patrol car. Go. That red car. That red car. Go. He passed it. He's about a mile and a half ahead of me. He should be in the inbound lane. He should pass that big deal. Go, get the fuck out, go! Yeah, he's about 100 miles an hour. Signal 4. Signal 4. Signal 4.
Police chases. Oh my gosh, those are one of the best to watch.
Yeah,
The
we're
car-
gonna do a whole episode sometime at this season about police and police chases. It'll be fun.
Okay.
How do you feel about that video? Stole a
Well,
patrol car.
here's the thing. That reminded me a little of the Hangover a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
because of the police car being stolen, but at the same time, how many police car chases that I've seen? Not like, you know, people stealing police cars, but like police cars chasing other cars and shit. It's
Yeah.
like a little something that I've seen throughout the day. Okay, so remember that day you and I went to that one lady's house in Independence to do the whole casting out the you know what?
Yeah.
Well, earlier that day, I saw, because I was getting some prepared for the day because we were going to meet up at that old lady's house to, cast out that evil spirit or whatever it was. And as I'm on in Gladstone and waiting for the bus to get back home, what I saw was this police car chase after this other car, and then this dude gets out of this police car and he's trying to put like this freaking thing right at the car. Like this police officer literally got out of his police car and was trying to put something right in the middle of the road, and the freaking car went past it and almost hit the police car. I was like, oh shit, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, years before that, this was about like 20 between 2012 to 2015, I saw a live news thing of these police cars chasing a car out in the middle of the highway in Kansas City, all the way to the actual interstate, and literally they were chasing after that car for a good like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And they were just showing that on live TV on the news. I was like, oh shit, that's funny as shit to watch.
When I went to Florida, we had a car speed past us at like 3:00 in the morning that was doing about 150 miles per hour on the highway, and it flew by us. And then, like later, probably 20 minutes down the road, it had wrecked to another car and completely just got obliterated.
But yeah, Brandon, you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, no, the people in Kansas City be driving 4-wheelers all the time. It's crazy.
Right. Speaking of which, so Rob, so when I said give me a bit right before I was hopping on to join the stream?
Yeah.
As I'm walking on a gas station, I see this chick sitting on a 4-wheeler, getting ready to pump the gas.
Right.
I'm like, a random 4-wheeler in the middle of Kansas City. That's funny.
Yeah, they be riding their 4-wheelers all the time in downtown KC. I don't understand how they get away with it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight in this episode of the Robert and Crew Show. We hope you all have enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it and had fun, could you please subscribe, share this video? If so, that's a ton. It means the world to us that we have loyal fans that watch us every time we go live. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Brandon. Thank you, everybody else that's tuned in.
Yeah, we thank you guys very much.
Yeah, Robert Crew Show. Thank you all very, very, very much. Peace, love. Until next time. Good night.
If you don't like boring news but still crave the truth, then dive into The Robert and Crew Show. From mind-bending conspiracy theories to wild weather phenomena, we've got it all. Ever wondered what's really happening in your hometown, or what secrets the global news isn't telling you? We dig deep into the core of every story, unraveling the mysteries one podcast at a time. Join Robert and the crew as we navigate this vibrant, ever-changing cyberpunk landscape, bringing you interviews with the most intriguing minds out there. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, a news junkie or a weather enthusiast, there's something here for you. So strap in, listeners, because we're about to take you on a ride through the neon-lit alleys of truth and intrigue. This is the Robert and Crew Show, where the future meets the fantastic.